Hey there, welcome back to NASCAR Race Hub. I'm Lindsay Zarniak. So this part of the show is where I'm checking in with drivers from their homes as they patiently await the return of Cup Series racing. Today's guest is Tony Stewart. Tony's got a lot on his plate, actually, despite the respite here. He joined me, I will be honest, from the last place I expected him to be, his vacation home in Arizona. Tony Stewart, it's great to see you. Where are you right now? It looks like it's a sunny day.
It is. I actually came out to Arizona to hang out with a couple buddies of mine, and then the whole world crashed. I've literally been in Arizona the last 4 weeks in a row now, and I'm comfortable staying out here till they say it's time to go home.
Well, so what's your routine like, and where is it that you're staying? Is that a home that you have out there or what?
And I got a couple buddies out here I'm hanging out with, and these guys, it's like living in a frat house. So it's frozen burritos in the microwave at 10 o'clock at night. We burn up a lot of frozen pizzas and eat those all day long. I do get cereal in the morning, but it's been pretty fun and entertaining. I mean, I've been quarantined with the same couple guys for the 4 weeks. But in Arizona, you're still allowed to go out on a boat. You're allowed to
Okay.
go in the desert on side by sides, and these guys have actually got me started riding a mountain bike with them. So at least not totally just laying around doing nothing, but making sure that we're staying away from everything and everybody. So we go out and do a little bit of stuff, but sit at home and watch a lot of Netflix right now.
And your show of choice, what's that been?
Well, it started with Tiger King, which is the biggest train wreck I've ever seen in my life. But I mean, I got excited about it because I'm like a big animal lover and I love tigers. So we watched that entire series, and toward the end of it, I got really excited because one of the workers at the zoo actually had an Eldora Speedway shirt on. So
No
I was like,
way.
yeah, we're in this show. So I felt like I was represented in the show and feel like I'm a part of it. But we conquered that, and then in a conversation with my buddy Don the Snake Perdome, he's been watching 90 Day Fiance, which we have now nicknamed 90 Day Fiasco. It is all these shows that I've watched on Netflix so far make me feel so much better about myself when I go to bed.
I feel like you seem really chill, right? Like, I mean, is this new
Yeah.
lifestyle, this temporary lifestyle, like really you're enjoying this?
Well, I'm starting to believe that this is actually what I think if you look in the dictionary, which I think I screwed this up a long time ago when I retired in 16, but I think when you look up dictionary or in the dictionary, you look up retirement. I think this is part of what that actually is. Apparently, when I was reading it, I skipped a line above or below and still had a busy schedule. But, uh, as much as we all hate what's going on around the world right now, and uh, we hate what this virus is doing to. I don't care about the economy as much as I hate what it's doing to people and families and the position it's putting them in, also financially as well. Um, and owning businesses and having between all the different entities that I'm a part of, over 400 families and employees that I'm responsible for. So
Wow.
then the reality came in of, how do we conduct our business? How do we keep our business open? How do we keep it to where we don't have to shut the doors permanently, and how do we try to do all this without laying employees off and creating more drama in their life than what's already going on with dealing with the virus. So it's been very eye-opening from a business side, more than competition, not worrying about how to make race cars go fast and what's going to be on the car this week and what setups we're going to run. It's literally about the people that we have. It's not just about us taking care of ourselves and staying healthy. Now, what do we do to make sure we're trying to take care of everybody else? And that has been something that I don't have a business background. I have great people that work for me that I've learned a lot from in a short amount of time. But you realize that even for them, this isn't anything that they went to school for. My dad turned 82 April 4th, and my mom and both of them have said they've never seen anything like this in their entire lifetime. So you can imagine having really smart people in your organization that went to Harvard Business School, for example, to get a degree to do what they do. And they're like, I'm not exactly sure what we're supposed to do because we didn't have anything in our classes about this. So it's I watch more news now than I ever watched. I mean, that's kind of my daily routine. I wake up, turn the news on, and try to get updated each day of what's going on with the pandemic. And then we start with our business guys of saying, where are we at? What do we need to change? What are we doing? And just trying to make sure that we're doing everything that we can to not affect our employees any more than what we have to, and making sure that we're looking out for the business at the same time.
I think it's been interesting too to watch, how sports have tried to fill the void through different leagues. And the iRacing, I think has been pretty fascinating. How much have you paid attention to that? And also the virtual dirt racing?
Every Sunday I watch the races, and then the sprint car races come on, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I miss it so much, and want to be a part of it. So I've enjoyed watching it as a fan, but at the same time, I'm sitting there going, man, I've got a nice simulator at home, and I really wish I was doing this with these guys. So who knows? Maybe I'll get something set up in the next couple of weeks to try to join those guys.
What have you thought of how Clint has been faring?
Oh my gosh, Clint! I swear to God, watching Clint on these shows is like watching the Tiger King. It's
Oh,
like
no.
I can't. You can't stop watching because of him. Just single-handedly, you can't stop watching because of him, because you don't know what this idiot is going to say next. And I'm like, this is the guy I hired to drive my race car. This was the guy to fill my void. But I love him like a brother, man. He's so much fun, and I think it's fun to watch a side that you don't really get that side on a Sunday. When they're in the cars, and being able to see these guys and talk to them during the race, and see them interacting with each other. I think shows a side of NASCAR and the drivers in NASCAR, and the culture that they don't really get a chance to see on race day necessarily. But you get to see them while they're competing on iRacing.
I can imagine the stress level on Tony, considering the many employees he has throughout all of his different race teams. Coming up next, though, we're talking about Tony on the track. What sparked an interest in him to return to Xfinity Series racing? That's next. Welcome back to NASCAR Race Hub. I'm Lindsay Zarniak. I love this conversation with Tony Stewart because I learned a lot. Like, if you happen to be driving on a highway late at night and you pass a motorhome, it just might be Tony behind the wheel. I also think you might be shocked by the music choices he selects to keep him up while driving. So, Tony, you were talking about your makeshift retirement there, right? And how you're enjoying your best life, living out the frat life right now. But what is your schedule like normally when we're not in a lockdown situation? Take me through what your day is really like.
Honestly, right before everything happened, I went on I still have my motorhome, and oddly enough, the guy that has literally worked for me, we worked together in '96, and in '90, at the end of '97, this was my first full-time employee that has been the longest employee I've ever had. He still works for me. He was my bus driver all the way through my NASCAR days. But because we take a t-shirt trailer to a lot of these sprint car races, he has to drive that because you have to have a CDL. So I don't have to have a CDL to drive this motorhome, which is technically a truck, like a semi. So I love driving it. I loaded the dogs up. It just gives you a lot of time to think about projects that you're working on.
So what is the music that you listen to when you're in there? If you've got a long stretch of road that you're going down, what's your choice of your music of choice?
It literally depends on what time of day it is. If I'm driving in traffic, I play slow music that does not get me amped up. In the middle of the night, I literally am jamming to everything: Metallica, Led Zeppelin, AC/DC, Boston, Eagles. I love Joe Bonamassa. He's one of the best guitar players in the world. You name it, I'm playing rock and roll at night.
Wait, so I also am intrigued to hear about you coming out of retirement and your decision to run some Xfinity. Tell me how that came about.
I think it kind of started the first year the Roval came around, and I got to watch the Roval weekend, and it just looked fun. I mean, and but now the Rovals ran a couple years. Those guys have notes. They know the track. And then when Roger bought the Indianapolis Motor Speedway from the Holman George family, and said, "Hey, we're going to run the road course race for the Xfinity race instead of the oval." it was like, well, this is a perfect opportunity to come back and run a road course race at a track that nobody has any notes on yet. None of the drivers have been on it other than I think Cindric has done a test on it for Goodyear. But all the drivers, nobody has any notes on it. Nobody's raced on it. So everybody's on a level playing field. So I think that's kind of what really made me hit the go button with it and decide to take the leap and say, okay, we're definitely going to do this.
I want to play a little game. Old Tony, new Tony, always Tony. Are you game?
Sure, I'm
Okay.
always game.
All right. More likely to throw a helmet. Which one?
Old Tony.
Care to expand on that?
Well, so I remember when I was young, I got mad about something like when I was 8 or 9 years old, and I threw my helmet down one time. And I remember the butt ripping I got from my father about it, saying that's to protect your head. And when I threw that helmet at Matt's car at Bristol, that was as soon as I did it and it was over, I remembered what my dad said, and I felt so bad about doing it. And then I thought about whose helmet I threw, and I've been sponsored by Simpson Race Products since 1993. So,
Wow.
and still have them as a partner today. And I thought, I really disrespected them doing that as well. So, yeah, I just decided I'm not throwing the helmet.
That's a pretty cool story. More likely to eat pizza and a Coke for breakfast. I think I know this answer.
That is like every day now. So that's always Tony. So even when I get in the parts where I'm trying to eat healthier and trying to do my attempt at getting in shape, there's still Cokes involved. And like I said, the occasional frozen pizza gets thawed out and eaten. So I don't think you're ever going to break me of that.
More likely to polish off a case of beer.
I would say in the last 4 weeks that would normally, I would have to say that's always Tony. But I would say before the pandemic started, that was more old Tony. I still love my Busch beer. But I mean, I don't think there's a night I haven't had it, but I might have 2 or 3 a night and just relax. And like I say, sit back and enjoy the show on Netflix. Versus, if we were in the daily routine and back racing, I don't think I would be drinking quite as much of it.
Which takes me to this, more likely to adopt a tiger.
If adopting it means you have to bring it home, no. I don't think no Tony would do that. If I could adopt a tiger and it stay in an animal refuge or a zoo where it's being properly taken care of and is going to live a good life, versus a scenario if it wasn't adopted, I would definitely do that in a heartbeat.
Dude, you could make your motorhome really interesting if you had a tiger on there.
That's a terrible idea.
It is a terrible idea.
Absolute. Of all people, normally I'm the one that comes up with the colossal, terrible ideas, and I can't believe you suggested that. I mean, you're normally the voice of reason in this conversation.
Hearing Tony's perspective on the helmet throwing was shocking to me because I would expect the complete opposite from Tony Stewart. It's amazing to me how something from your childhood can really come back to make an impact years later. Speaking of family, coming up on NASCAR Race Hub, we're going to hear how this time has impacted the way that Tony Stewart feels about that. Welcome back to NASCAR Race Hub. So just a few months ago, Tony Stewart was inducted into the NASCAR Hall of Fame. His speech was hilarious. It made me laugh out loud several times. The story behind it, though, even better. So when you're looking back throughout your whole career, not just in Sprint Cup, but what is the thread in between that is the it that makes you love it so much?
I think it's a great question. I think what's funny about the question, though, is the answer that I'm going to give you, which that common thread hasn't been the same through the whole thing. I don't think. I think it's changed and evolved as my career and my age, as I get older. That thread's still there. That's the common thread that holds it all together. But it's the love of driving a race car still. It's the thrill of still being competitive and trying to figure out how to be better at it and do a better job than the guys you're on track with. But now that thread is kind of going back to when you're 8 or 9 years old and the day after the race, was the people. And now it's the people that are involved in the sport, that you have the friendships with, that you realize have been part of your racing family for so long, that as much as they're part of your racing family, you truly feel like they're part of your real family. So, and they become that. So it's, I think that thread changes over time, but at the end of the day, it's I guess the common thread is actually the sport of auto racing itself. That's the common thread that ties it all together. But how the definition of that thread has changed has been the fun part to see.
I guess it's true that with age comes wisdom. And since we're talking about family, and since I don't have one of my own, I'd be remiss if I didn't thank all the girlfriends who are there as part of this journey with me. Sorry, Delaney, I told you I had to do this. These girlfriends' short time and sacrifice meant a lot to me.
The last time I saw you, it was your induction, right? Your Hall of Fame induction. And that was such a cool moment to watch. And I remember when you were giving your speech, the room was just laughing out loud because you were so funny, especially the part where you thanked all your girlfriends. That was my favorite moment. That was hilarious.
I laugh because here I am at a moment in my life and in a speech that I'm being inducted into a Hall of Fame for something I've accomplished in a sport. And I was truly making fun of myself and just having fun with it. And, when you're the last guy to go up and give your speech, people are like, man, we've been sitting here for hours and we're ready to go. It's like, I wanted to do something where it truly was from me. And we literally Mike Arning and I had to rewrite that speech literally mid-afternoon.
I remember you said that same day,
So
right?
that was real. That was real. I went in there, and when I found out I was last in the order, I thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to really have fun with this. And I thought, man, that is the perfect way to go out, as a driver and be inducted into a Hall of Fame of peers that you really respect.
I cannot imagine what that's like to have an event that big and a moment that big, and to find out like literally just hours before that you've got to redo it. I would have been a ball of nerves. Were you like, was it stressful or was it not a big deal?
It was actually really comical. The whole week, literally every event and everything that was planned on the schedule, something went wrong with it. And it got to where it literally was like watching a comedy show. It was like you didn't know what was going to happen next, but something was going to happen. I think probably one of my favorite examples of that was the suit that I brought down for the banquet. Thank God they put us in our Hall of Fame jackets, because what I had brought down, what I thought was just a suit, was my tuxedo. And so we're like, we have 40 minutes to get dressed and get downstairs. And I'm like, Mike, I think we got a problem. He's like, what's wrong? I said, we got to get this suit out of the closet. And so as soon as we open it up, it's like we just start dying laughing. It's like, this is just the way the whole weekend went.
Is there anything that you would want to share with your fans? Anything that you've gleaned from this time, or any message?
Our race fans think we're badasses and we're brave for driving race cars the speeds we drive. We aren't badasses at all compared to these people that are taking care of these sick people, that are risking their lives to save all these people and try to keep this under control to where we can try to live our lives and do the fun things that we all want to do. So it's been a very humbling experience, but I think at the same time, I feel very grateful that we've had this time to just put the brakes on for a minute and think about things and think about life and realistically, as much as we think we got all these cool things we're doing, and they are, but there's some things that are just very basic and very simple that I think it's easy to overlook in our daily lives that it's really made me look at and focus on and reflect on and go, I think I need to change how I do some things and make more time for these things in my life.
Like what things?
Well, just family, for example. My mother, my stepfather, my dad, and my sister, we're all on a group chat together. So literally each day, they would have things going on because their day's 3 hours ahead of my day. And so I'll take a picture of the sunset at the end of the day. And literally every time I send something like that, I put, they've got stuff that done throughout the day that they're talking about. And then I always start mine off with, meanwhile, somewhere in Arizona, dot, dot, dot. And then I put up a picture of the sunset or a picture of a lake or a picture of the mountains when we go ride the mountain bikes. And it makes you go, hey, your racing family is your racing family. For me, I've still got another family that's been supportive all along that don't get much attention for me. And I'm happy with what we do daily or every other day, the interaction we all have with each other now. And that's something that when this is all over with, I will make sure that no matter what I'm doing and how busy I am, I will make sure I make that time for them and make sure that I don't stop what we've done here, because I'm really happy about how this has affected my life and my relationship with my family.
All right. Well, it's great to see you. I think that, I like this relaxed version of yourself, but I mean, truly, you're the busiest guy I know in all of racing, in any form of racing. And so I think this is really cool that you're getting some time at least. It's always great to see you.
You too. Trust me, I'm very excited to get back to what I love and being back at the racetrack. And, we've talked to my racing family a lot on the phone, but I'm excited to see all them as well and get back to doing what I love best, and that's sitting behind the wheel of a race car.
Thanks, Tony. Stop watching so much TV. For me, it really helps to focus and think about the positives that we can take from these uncertain times. And it's good to hear that Tony Stewart is sharing that same perspective, that he's trying to slow down, to pay more attention to family, thinking about others. Tony can't wait to get back on the track. And until we do that, I'm going to be checking in with different NASCAR drivers each night to see what they're doing, how they're spending their time away from racing. You can see it on Race Hub tomorrow night at 7 p.m. I'm Lindsay Zarniak. Thanks for watching.